In these times we're living in, it is more important than ever that we maintain a fervent and fruitful prayer life. By fervent, I mean consistent and enthusiastic. By fruitful, I mean productive. But just how productive can our prayer life actually be if the Most High isn't hearing our prayers? In 1 John chapter 5, verses 14 through 15, it says, "And this is the confidence that we have in him, that if we ask anything according to his will, he hears us. And if we know that he hears us, whatever we ask, we know that we have the petitions that we desired of him." And over in the Gospel of John, chapter 9, verse 31, it says, "Now we know that God heareth not sinners. But if any man be a worshiper of God, and doeth his will, him he heareth." So we've just heard two scriptures that provide us clues as to how we can pray and receive the desired results. The first is, obviously, we must pray in agreement with his will. But see, we often get this confused. We get this confused with our own desires and expectations. We tend to think that what we want is what the Most High wants. So we tend to get this confused, especially when it comes to what we believe we feel that we are entitled to. See, we're people that don't really like to take no for an answer. And when the Most High does not respond in the way that we expect for him to respond, we never consider the fact that he could be saying no. In our minds, we begin to think, well, maybe he just means not yet. Or maybe it just means it's delayed, but not necessarily denied, but certainly not no. You see, we need to grow beyond these worldly cliches and simply stick with what the word actually says. See, James chapter 1, verse 14 teaches, "But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed." So, as you can see, it is vitally important that we don't blur the lines between what's the Most High's will and what's our own lust. You see, the Most High's will are his commands, his precepts, and his desires. And in the end, his will is what pleases him. Therefore, we must pray in alignment with his will. For John chapter 4, verse 3 teaches that ye ask and receive not. Why? Because you ask amiss, that ye may consume it upon your own lusts. You see, there are only unlimited resources available to those people that are not operating with unclean motives. That brings us to our second point. If we want our prayers answered, we have to consider our ways. Because Proverbs tells us that when a man's ways please the Most High, he maketh even his enemies to be at peace with him. What ways are we talking about here? Well, a man's ways are his habits, behaviors, and conducts. See, many of us are not having our prayers answered because our ways are not pleasing to the Most High. Matthew chapter 5 teaches that we are not even to leave our gifts at the altar before first going back and being reconciled to our brethren. Also, 1 Peter teaches us that if a man dishonors his wife, his prayers are hindered. So if we want the Most High to hear our prayers, we must consider our ways. I'm going to give you seven habits that please the Most High. Number one is faith. For without faith it is impossible to please him. Number 2, being spiritually minded. Because the carnally minded, to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Because the carnal mind is enmity against the Most High. For it is not subject to the law of the Most High, nor can it be. So then, those who are in the flesh cannot please the Most High. That's Romans chapter 8. Number 3, fear the Most High. Not fear in terms of being afraid or scared, but a reverential fear, respect. Psalms chapter 147 teaches us that the Lord takes pleasure in those who fear him and those who hope in his mercy. Number 4, following Christ's example. For Matthew 17 teaches us that this is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear him. Number 5, we must obey. 1 Samuel chapter 15 says, has the Lord as great delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices, as in obeying the voice of the Lord. Behold, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to hearken than the fat of rams. Number 6, doing his will. Hebrews chapter 13 says, may God make you complete in every good work. For what? To do his will, working in you what is well pleasing in his sight through Christ, to whom be the glory forever and ever. And number 7, give the sacrifice that he wants. Hebrews chapter 13 says, therefore by him let us continually offer the sacrifice of praise to the Most High, that is the fruit of our lips, giving thanks to his name. But do not forget to do good and to share, for such sacrifices God is well pleased. Therefore, when I say that we must consider our ways, these are the 7 habits that need to be active and present in our lives. We need to be free from this idea that simply because we are the children of the Most High, that we are entitled to whatever we desire. Psalms 37 says, delight thyself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. We're delighting in a lot of things, but how many of us are really delighting ourselves in the Lord? To delight yourself in the Lord is to find so much pleasure, joy, and satisfaction in him that he takes priority over all other things. And verse 5 says, commit thy way unto the Lord and trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. How can we say that we commit our way into the Lord and we're not even willing to live for him? We'll say all day that we'll die for him, but how can we say we'll die for him when we're not willing to live for him? To commit your way unto the Lord says it means that we are living a life that honors and pleases him. You see, the Most High has not relaxed his standards. Righteousness, holiness, and faith is now and will always be what he requires. We have high expectations of the Most High, as we should, because of who he is. But we have these expectations while we continue living beneath his standard, not realizing that without the standard, there is no benefit. It is no wonder why our prayers can't pass the ceiling. If we really want to hear from the Most High, we must begin with humility, looking inwardly and carefully taking inventory of our lives and consider our ways. And that's the truth. Period. Shalom.